The streets of Atlanta were buzzing with disbelief as breaking news flashed across every entertainment outlet. Love and Hip Hop's Kirk Frost arrested after violent altercation with wife, Rasheeda. For fans who had watched the couple's complicated love story unfold over a decade, this headline felt like the final devastating blow. From cheating scandals to public humiliation and countless makeups, Kirk and Rasheeda had always claimed they could weather any storm, but this one was different. This time, cameras weren't rolling. There was no production crew, no stage lights, and no scripted lines. Just raw chaos, heartbreak, and police sirens echoing through the quiet streets of Buckhead. Witnesses say the night started calmly enough. The couple had returned home from a business dinner, smiling for the paparazzi just hours before. But by midnight, the neighbors were calling 911 after hearing shouting, crashing. And what one described as a scream that didn't sound like TV drama, it sounded real. When the police arrived, Kirk Frost looked stunned, his face pale under the flashing blue lights. Rasheeda was visibly shaken, her eyes red from tears, clutching her phone like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. As officers handcuffed Kirk, onlookers caught him muttering under his breath, "This ain't how it's supposed to go down." But the damage was done. Cameras were already rolling from across the street. Within minutes, TMZ had the footage. Within hours, the internet had exploded. Fans flooded social media with disbelief and rage. #JusticeForSheeda trended globally within minutes, while others posted clips of the couple's old love and hip-hop scenes, captioning them with eerie warnings. The signs were always there. Some blamed fame, others pointed fingers at money. But most agreed on one thing: something inside the Frost household had finally snapped. And just when everyone thought the chaos couldn't get any darker, a new revelation emerged, one that painted a far more sinister picture than anyone could have imagined. Kirk Frost and Rasheeda Buckner Frost weren't just reality stars, but they were a brand, a business, and for years the heartbeat of love and hip-hop Atlanta. Their marriage had been tested in ways few relationships could survive, yet somehow they always seemed to bounce back. From Kirk's infamous cheating scandals to Rasheeda's teary confessions of betrayal and forgiveness, the two became synonymous with public resilience. They built an empire together: boutiques, music labels, sponsorships, all branded under their image as the realest couple on TV. But behind that carefully curated image was a marriage rotting from the inside. For years, insiders whispered that Rasheeda and Kirk's love story was no longer built on passion, but on paperwork and profit. What once felt like partnership had turned into performance. They were married to the business, not each other. A close source revealed to Atlanta Daily T, Rasheeda's fans adored her strength, the way she kept her family together despite Kirk's repeated betrayals. But even her most loyal followers began to wonder how much pain one woman could endure before breaking. The tension between them began long before the night of the arrest. Friends recall that things started shifting around the time their boutique Prest began expanding into multiple locations. Kirk was managing the business finances while Rasheeda took on creative control. But money and power became the wedge that drove them apart. According to insiders, Rasheeda had started questioning missing funds and vague business expenses tied to Kirk's side projects. When she confronted him, he deflected with charm and excuses. It's the same way he had during his cheating scandals. She stopped trusting him, one associate claimed. And when trust goes, love follows. But it wasn't just about money. Rasheeda had grown tired of carrying the emotional weight of the relationship. Every time a new rumor about Kirk's infidelity surfaced, she was the one forced to defend the family name. Every time he embarrassed her on camera, she was the one crying in confessionals, forgiving him for the sake of their kids and their brand. What once looked like strength started to resemble exhaustion. Then came the fateful night. They had spent the evening attending a local music networking event in Atlanta, smiling for pictures, acting every bit the glamorous power couple they were known to be. But according to multiple eyewitnesses, Rasheeda appeared distracted, scrolling her phone constantly, her expression growing darker as the night went on. A heated whisper exchange between her and Kirk caught the attention of several onlookers, one of whom later told the Jasmine brand it was tense, like they were arguing through their smiles. By the time they returned home, whatever had been simmering at that event erupted into full-blown chaos. Police reports later confirmed that a neighbor made the 911 call after hearing glass shattering and what sounded like a struggle. It wasn't just yelling, there was fear in her voice, the neighbors said in their statement. When authorities arrived, they found Rasheeda crying and disoriented. Kirk, according to officers, appeared agitated and defensive, insisting it was just an argument blown out of proportion. But the marks on Rasheeda's arm and the overturned furniture told a different story. Kirk was arrested on the spot for alleged domestic assault. Within minutes of the story breaking, the Shade Room and Hollywood Unlocked blasted the news, igniting an internet firestorm. Fans were torn between disbelief and fury. After all she's been through, this is how he repays her, one user tweeted. Others accused the media of over-dramatizing the situation for clicks. But as the mugshot began circulating online, even Kirk's defenders grew silent. Behind the scenes, Rasheeda was devastated but composed. In a now viral Instagram post, she wrote, "You think you know strength until you have to choose yourself over someone you love." The photo attached showed her sitting alone in her boutique. No caption, no filters, just raw emotion. Within an hour, thousands flooded the comments section with messages of support. Even fellow Love and Hip Hop stars like Yandi Smith and Erica Dixon reached out publicly, urging her to prioritize her safety and peace. Meanwhile, Kirk's camp scrambled to control the narrative. His publicist released a brief statement, insisting the situation was a private marital dispute that escalated and urging fans not to jump to conclusions. But fans weren't buying it. Old clips from Love and Hip Hop scenes where Kirk had disrespected Rasheeda on camera began resurfacing. Painted now with chilling new context, it wasn't just another argument. It was a pattern. Industry insiders claimed that the couple's marriage had been over in everything but name for nearly 2 years. They lived in the same house but led separate lives, sleeping in different rooms, taking solo vacations, and appearing together only when cameras demanded it. The arrest, many said, was simply the public explosion of years of private misery. The aftermath was brutal. Rasheeda retreated from public life, canceling appearances and halting new releases from her brand. Meanwhile, Kirk doubled down on his innocence, appearing somber and remorseful in paparazzi photos as he entered court hearings. But the whispers wouldn't stop. Then, in a shocking twist, financial documents began circulating online, allegedly, showing that Rasheeda had quietly moved several of their shared assets into her name just weeks before the arrest. Some fans saw it as proof she'd been preparing to leave him. Others claimed it was evidence of premeditation. Either way, the image of the Frost family, once a reality TV fairy tale, was now in ashes. And if fans thought that was the end of the story, they were wrong. Because just when the world started to rally behind Rasheeda, new allegations surfaced, ones that flipped the entire narrative upside down. Leaked statement from Kirk's attorney suggested that he wasn't the only one keeping secrets, that Rasheeda had been hiding something much bigger than anyone suspected, something that could destroy her credibility and possibly her career. It wasn't just a marriage falling apart anymore. It was the beginning of a war, one that would drag the entire Love and Hip Hop world into the crossfire. The morning after Kirk Frost's arrest, Atlanta woke up to chaos. News vans lined the street outside the Frost mansion. Fans camped out at the gates and helicopters circled overhead. What had begun as whispers in the Love and Hip Hop gossip blogs had now exploded into a full-blown national scandal. Kirk Frost, music producer, businessman, husband, and reality TV fixture, had officially been charged with domestic assault inside her home. Rasheeda sat at the kitchen table, still in her robe, scrolling through her phone in disbelief. Every post, every headline, every video clip showed the same thing, her face swollen from tears paired with his mugshot. The world now saw what she had been hiding for years. But as fans rallied behind her, something darker was brewing. Rasheeda's team, led by her longtime publicist and best friend, Monique, was scrambling to manage the fallout. They knew how unforgiving the internet could be. "We need to control the story before he does," Monique warned. But before they could even draft a statement, Kirk struck first. From his holding cell through his attorney, Kirk released a message that flipped the entire narrative. "This was a misunderstanding. I never laid a hand on my wife. We argued, yes, but what happened after that wasn't what the media is claiming. I love Rasheeda. I've been protecting her from her own mistakes." That last line, protecting her from her own mistakes, sent shockwaves through social media. Suddenly, fans weren't just sympathizing with Rasheeda. They were asking questions. What mistakes? Within hours, gossip blogs were flooded with unverified reports that Rasheeda had been quietly siphoning money from their joint. Businesses, the same businesses Kirk had accused her of mismanaging in private for months. Screenshots surfaced of alleged financial documents, showing suspicious wire transfers from their company accounts to a private trust under Rasheeda's name. The timing was suspiciously perfect, as though someone had been waiting for the exact moment to expose her. Rasheeda knew it had to be. "Kirk," she stormed into her office, furious, grabbing her phone and calling Monique. "He's doing this on purpose. He's trying to make me look like a thief," she yelled, her voice breaking. "He hits me, gets arrested, and I'm the one who looks dirty." Monique sighed. "He's playing chess, not checkers, baby. He's trying to drag you down to save himself." The words rang true. Kirk Frost had always been calculated, the man who could cheat on national television, cry on cue, and somehow spin it into a storyline about forgiveness. This time, however, Rasheeda wasn't going to play the victim. She released a statement of her own later that evening. It was short, raw, and devastating. "I've been loyal to a man who's betrayed me in every way possible. I won't stay silent anymore. The truth always comes out, even if I have to be the one to expose it." The internet exploded. #Rasheeda Speaks trended instantly. Celebrities like Cardi B, Spice, and Yandi Smith reposted her message with words of support. But as the wave of sympathy grew, so did the backlash. Kirk's camp responded with receipts, or what looked like receipts. Screenshots of emails allegedly between Rasheeda and her accountant surfaced, discussing how to divert funds and protect assets from legal discovery. Bloggers jumped on it immediately, painting Rasheeda as a manipulative businesswoman hiding behind her good wife persona. The scandal had officially split the internet in half. Team Kirk claimed Rasheeda had been plotting to drain their empire long before the arrest, while Team Rasheeda believed Kirk was gaslighting the world to escape accountability. But as the media frenzy reached new heights, a shocking leak sent everything spiraling even further. A recording, one that no one was supposed to hear. TMZ published a short but explosive clip allegedly taken the night of the altercation. The grainy audio captured Kirk yelling, "You think I don't know what you did? You moved the money, Rasheeda. You stole from me." Then Rasheeda's voice, shaky but defiant, fired back, "I took what was mine. You weren't going to leave me with nothing again." There was the sound of glass breaking, followed by a door slam. The recording ended abruptly. The internet went wild. Was this proof that Rasheeda had stolen millions from their business accounts? Or was it the desperate outburst of a woman trying to protect herself from a man who'd controlled her for years? No one knew. But the damage was done. Blogs, fan pages, and even mainstream outlets began calling it the Frost War. Meanwhile, love and hip-hop producers were salivating. This was ratings gold. Reports leaked that the show's cameras had been rolling just days before the arrest, capturing the rising tension between Kirk and Rasheeda as their marriage crumbled. Mona Scott-Young, the executive producer, was allegedly in crisis meetings about how to handle the scandal without crossing legal lines. But behind the reality TV circus, a far more personal war was unfolding. Rasheeda discovered through a mutual friend that Kirk had filed for an emergency injunction to freeze their joint, counts effectively cutting her off financially. The man who cheated on her, humiliated her, and now allegedly assaulted her was trying to control her one last time. That night, In a quiet hotel room away from the cameras and chaos, Rasheeda made a decision that would change everything. She was done being silent. She called her lawyer. She wanted the marriage over, but her attorney had something to tell her, something that made her blood run cold. During Kirk's booking process, detectives had found something in his phone, screenshots, text messages, and bank records, but also a hidden video. A video that had been quietly uploaded to his cloud storage days before the arrest. The file was titled simply Insurance. When the authorities reviewed it, they realized it wasn't just about money. It was about blackmail, the footage allegedly showed. Rasheeda in a heated argument with a man who wasn't, Kirk, a known Atlanta promoter in what appeared to be the back room of her boutique. Their conversation was intense, intimate, and unmistakably personal, though no physical contact was seen. The context was clear enough to raise eyebrows. It was the perfect trap. If Kirk leaked that video, he could flip the narrative completely from accused abuser to betrayed husband. The twist hit the media like a bomb. The shade room, gossip, and media takeout all ran with the headline, "Kirk Frost's secret video could clear his name." Overnight, the tide shifted. Kirk went from villain to victim, while Rasheeda was suddenly painted as manipulative and unfaithful. Rasheeda's team panicked. Monique urged her not to respond, but Rasheeda couldn't take the silence any longer. She went live on Instagram, tears in her eyes, voice trembling. "That man has hurt me in ways you can't imagine. He's lying, he's twisting everything, and now he's trying to destroy me with something that's not even real." That video was edited. It's fake. The live hit over 1 million views in less than an hour. But as emotional as it was, not everyone believed her. Comment sections were brutal. Fans accused her of playing the victim. Some even claimed the alleged promoter had already been spotted in her store before. The lines between truth and manipulation had completely blurred by the time the court hearing date arrived. Both sides were armed with evidence, financial documents, screenshots, recordings, and statements from friends and former employees. The marriage that once symbolized love and loyalty in Atlanta's hip-hop scene had devolved into a war of lies, betrayal, and public humiliation. And just when everyone thought it couldn't get worse, another twist emerged, one that turned the entire case upside down. A second video. This time, recorded after Kirk's arrest, it wasn't Rasheeda on camera. It was one of Kirk's business associates meeting with a local blogger, trading a USB drive for a thick envelope of cash. On the drive, the same insurance video that had nearly ruined Rasheeda. Someone was selling stories. Someone close. And that someone wasn't just leaking to protect Kirk. They were manipulating both sides. The discovery of that second video changed everything. What had started as a scandal between husband and wife had now spiraled into a conspiracy of betrayal that stretched far beyond their marriage. Kirk Frost's so-called insurance file wasn't just an act of self-protection. It was a weapon. And someone had been pulling the strings behind the scenes to make sure it detonated at exactly the right time. The footage showed Kirk's associate, a man named Terry T. Lawson, handing a USB drive to a known Atlanta gossip vlogger inside a dimly lit bar. On the security camera recording, you could hear T saying, "You dropped this Friday night." The boss said, "Make it big. Don't mention where it came from." The vlogger nodded, slipped the drive into her purse, and passed T a thick envelope. The timestamp: 2 days before the insurance video leaked. That meant Kirk's team had deliberately orchestrated the release. And it wasn't just to save his image, was to destroy Rasheeda's completely. When Rasheeda's attorney obtained that footage, she broke down crying. "He planned this. He wanted me humiliated," she whispered, trembling. "He didn't just want to win. He wanted me erased." Word of the leak spread like wildfire. The Shade Room ran a headline that read, "Kirk Frost's right-hand man caught paying blogger to leak fake footage." Within hours, #Kirk set her up was trending. Fans who had once turned on Rasheeda began switching sides again. Public opinion swung wildly back in her favor. The Frost drama wasn't just another reality TV scandal anymore, it was a war of manipulation, blackmail, and media control. And yet, behind the chaos, another truth was quietly emerging, one even Rasheeda didn't see coming. While Kirk's attorney was preparing his defense, another set of documents surfaced: emails, contracts, and shell company records that painted a stunning picture. It turned out Kirk had been funneling money from their shared ventures into offshore accounts tied to a company under the alias KF Holdings, created 3 years earlier. The twist: that company was registered under his mistress's name, the same mistress from the NTCC 17 cheating scandal that nearly ended their marriage. The irony was chilling. Kirk had spent weeks accusing Rasheeda of stealing, when in reality, he'd been doing it all along quietly, systematically, and on a much larger scale. Millions had vanished over time, disguised as business development expenses. When the forensic accountant traced the money trail, it led directly to a luxury condo in Miami Beach where, according to neighbors, Kirk had been seen visiting regularly for months. The betrayal was beyond financial. When Rasheeda confronted Kirk outside the courthouse after the news broke, cameras captured the moment. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just looked him dead in the eye and said, "You really played yourself." Then she walked away as the paparazzi flashes lit up the steps behind her like fireworks. That clip went viral instantly, becoming one of the most shared videos in love and hip-hop history. But if Rasheeda thought she finally had the upper hand, she was wrong. Because Kirk still had one more move that would take the entire story into darker territory than anyone expected. 3 nights later, a mysterious email leak hit the inboxes of multiple gossip bloggers and YouTube commentators. The subject line read, "The truth about Rasheeda's secret deal, attached," was a 47-page document filled with messages and receipts suggesting that Rasheeda herself had made under-the-table deals with a production assistant from Love and Hip Hop, someone who allegedly helped her edit scenes to portray her more favorably during her previous seasons. If true, it meant Rasheeda had been manipulating her public image for years, using her popularity to control how fans saw her marriage, her business, and her supposed loyal wife persona. The internet went into meltdown. Was she the victim or the puppet master? The twist divided fans like never before. One camp argued that Rasheeda had every right to control her narrative after being humiliated by Kirk for years. Others saw it as proof she was just as cunning as he was. Meanwhile, the producers at Love and Hip Hop quietly distanced themselves, releasing a cryptic statement about editorial independence. But insiders leaked that Mona Scotch-Young herself had personally confronted Rasheeda about the leaked documents, warning her that if they were true, she could face termination and legal repercussions for breach of contract. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, the unthinkable happened. A third video dropped, this time not leaked by Kirk, but by someone claiming to be an anonymous insider. The footage was taken inside a closed-door meeting at Frost Enterprises just weeks before the arrest. Kirk could be seen shouting at his accountant, waving a stack of papers. His voice cracked with fury. "You think I don't know she's moving money? She's been planning this divorce for months. She's trying to bury me alive." Then came the line that made every viewer's blood run cold. "If she ruins me, I swear to God, I'll ruin her first." The clip cut there, but it was enough. The phrase, "I'll ruin her first," became the most quoted line on social media for days. The image of Kirk's face, mid-gel, veins bulging, was plastered on every meme page. His arrest no longer looked like an accident, looked like a premeditated boiling point. The pressure was unbearable. Sponsors began pulling out of Frost family ventures. The pressed boutique faced boycotts. Even longtime Love and Hip Hop castmates started uncut social media. But the biggest blow came from someone no one saw coming: their son, Kai Frost. In a heartbreaking Instagram story, Kai posted a single sentence that shattered whatever public sympathy Kirk had left. "I saw what happened that night. My mom didn't deserve that." Within minutes, his story had over 1 million views. Fans flooded him with support, but the damage to Kirk's image was irreversible. The family's dirty secrets weren't gossip anymore, they were truth. Confirmed by blood. Meanwhile, Rasheeda, now publicly vindicated, wasn't celebrating. She was exhausted, broken, and haunted by what she'd lost. Not just her marriage, but her peace. In a tearful interview with Atlanta Now, she admitted, when you love someone for that long, and they turn into a stranger, it's like watching a part of yourself die. But even then, the story wasn't done twisting. 2 weeks later, TMZ reported that Kirk Frost had been taken back into custody, this time for evidence tampering and obstruction of justice. Authorities discovered that he'd attempted to delete the video of his meeting with the accountant after it went public. What he didn't know was that forensic analysts had already backed up the footage from his cloud account. The man who had built his entire life around control was finally losing it all, and just when fans began to think justice was finally being served, Rasheeda received a phone call that changed everything again. It was from her lawyer. There had been a new development, one that flipped the entire case upside down. According to court filings, one of the offshore accounts linked to KF Holdings had a secondary beneficiary listed. The name? Rasheeda Buckner Frost. The revelation hit her like a gut punch. How was her name attached to an account she didn't even know existed? Had Kirk forged her signature? Or had someone, maybe T. Lawson, added her name to implicate her in the very crimes he was committing? The answer, she would soon learn, was even more shocking than she could have imagined. Because when investigators dug deeper, they discovered that the person who created KF Holdings in the first place wasn't Kirk, or his mistress, or even his accountant. It was Rasheeda's former assistant, the same woman who had quietly quit 6 months before the arrest, claiming toxic work conditions. The same woman who had been working under Kirk's management at the time. The realization hit Rasheeda like lightning. She had been set up from the start, both of them had. The question now wasn't who betrayed whom. It was who had orchestrated everything: the leaks, the forged signatures, the fake transfers, the blackmail land wide. And when the truth finally came out, it would blow the entire love and hip-hop world wide open. The Atlanta entertainment scene was in chaos. Every corner of social media, every blog, and every industry podcast was locked on one story: the Frost implosion. What had started as a domestic dispute had evolved into one of the most dramatic scandals in love and hip-hop history. A cocktail of betrayal, corruption, and deception that seemed to pull in everyone from production crews to executives. Within hours of the third leak, the entertainment industry reacted like wildfire. Twitter, or X, was a battlefield, fans divided into factions. Hashtag Team RASHEEDA. Hashtag Team Kirk. And a smaller but growing hashtag Team No One, filled with exhausted fans who couldn't believe how dark the saga had gotten. Commentators, influencers, and gossip insiders dissected every detail in long threads, complete with screenshots, timestamps, and receipts. The digital detectives of Black Twitter were relentless. Some argued that Rasheeda was the ultimate victim, a loyal wife who'd been gaslit and betrayed by a manipulative husband and corrupt insiders. Others claimed she had played her own long game, using her Wife of the Year image to mask shady dealings behind the scenes. One viral post from a pop culture page summed it up perfectly. "This isn't marriage anymore. It's chess played in public. Everyone's lying and no one's clean." Even celebrities couldn't resist weighing in. Spice, who had always had Rasheeda's back, went live on Instagram, her Jamaican accent cutting through the noise with fire. "Me love Rasheeda, but me tell you, dis the industry full of snakes. Everybody's smiling in your face and setting you up behind your back. Me see it with my own eyes." Her live pulled in over 200K viewers, sparking new rumors that Spice knew something about the assistant, the mysterious woman behind KF Holdings. Before the story even broke, Young Jock, Kirk's longtime friend and fellow Love and Hip Hop castmate, took a different route. Appearing on The Breakfast Club, he tried to defend Kirk, saying, "Listen, man, ain't excusing what happened, but I've known Kirk for years. There's more to this story. Some of these leaks look too clean, too coordinated. Somebody higher up is pulling these strings. Words poured gasoline on the conspiracy theories already flooding Reddit. Fans began connecting dots, claiming the entire scandal might have been orchestrated by producers at VH1 to reignite ratings. Screenshots of old contracts surfaced, showing that both Kirk and Rasheeda had quietly renewed their love and hip-hop deals just months before the arrest. Theories exploded. Was this whole thing scripted? Did Mona Skochung know? Was the assistant planted by the network itself? Even mainstream media outlets jumped in. Rolling Stone, The Hollywood Reporter. And Variety ran features analyzing the reality TV machine and how it blurred the line between truth and performance. The narrative shifted from gossip to ethics. How much of people's trauma was being monetized in the name of entertainment? Meanwhile, Rasheeda tried to stay silent, but silence was no longer an option. Her brand Pressed began losing endorsements. Sponsors froze collaborations pending the outcome of the investigations. Her beauty line's social pages were flooded with comments, half supportive, half cruel. "Girl, you're the victim, but you still look shady," one wrote. "You lost yourself chasing cameras," said another. Rasheeda's mother, Charlene, became her fiercest defender, taking to Facebook with a vengeance. In a now iconic rant that went viral, she wrote, "My daughter been through hell and still standing. That man embarrassed her for years. Now he's crying wolf because he got caught. Let the truth burn him." The post hit over 1 million shares. Fans loved it. But while Charlene's raw energy drew cheers, Kirk's camp used it to paint Rasheeda as emotionally unstable, arguing that her entire family was feeding the drama for clicks. Then came the biggest industry reaction. VH1 released an official statement confirming that filming for Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was suspended indefinitely. The network cited safety and legal concerns, but insiders leaked that the real reason was chaos on set. Production sources claimed Rasheeda had walked off during shooting after learning that. And there you have it, the story that started as a simple reality show drama and spiraled into a full-blown industry expose. Kirk Frost's arrest, Rasheeda's fight for freedom, and the sinister forces behind the cameras have left the entire entertainment world shaken. But the biggest question isn't about who cheated, who lied, or who leaked what. It's about who really owns the truth. We've watched this couple rise from Atlanta, hustlers to reality TV royalty, only to be torn apart by the same system that made them famous. Now, as new documents, recordings, and mysterious lost footage threaten to expose the dark underbelly of love and hip-hop. One thing's certain, this story is far from over. Rasheeda has vowed to take legal action not just against Kirk, but against the network itself, claiming that the production company has been manipulating footage and profiting off trauma for years. Kirk's team, on the other hand, insists he's been framed by a rival production house trying to collapse the franchise. Meanwhile, insiders are hinting that federal investigators are digging into undisclosed financial ties between multiple cast members and offshore entities tied to the leaks. So what happens next? Will Rasheeda finally expose the network that turned her pain into primetime TV? Will Kirk flip and reveal who paid for the chaos? Or will someone higher up step in and bury the truth again? If you've been following this saga since the beginning, you know this isn't just about the Frosts anymore. This is about every artist, every cast member, every celebrity who's ever had their life twisted into a storyline. The truth is coming, and when it drops, it might change the entire reality TV game forever. Make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because when the next leak hits, when those sealed court files go public, we'll be right here breaking it all down, frame by frame. This isn't just gossip anymore. This is a war for reality itself, and trust me, you don't want to miss the next chapter.